Hey, this is Corey from Woodcraft. Today I'm at camp. I already have the tent set up. I have the leaves cleared out from around my fire. I have what I'm starting to build to start the fire. And so if you want to see more, stay tuned. Alright, so I'm going to get this fire started. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to start with some fat wood. I'm going to light a little bit and then I'm going to throw it in. All the leaves and debris and everything that was inside the fire pit, I put into a pile and then I put this wood around it. So I'm going to use my knife. I'll make a video on how I start fire with fat wood too, just to show you guys what I'm doing. So I'm just going to make this fat wood fluff. Put it in a pile. Doesn't take much. Put it in a pile. Light it with the ferro rod, right the pile. Throw that pile in the leaves. The leaves must be a lot wetter than I thought they were. These leaves are a lot wetter than I thought. So I'm going to have to go scout around and find something else. Alright, so the leaves are wetter than I thought. So I went and I got this white birch. I'm going to use all of this because I know where that stump is and where that chunk that broke off of that white birch is. And so if I need more, I can go get more. But I'm going to use a little piece of this to start the initial fire. I'm going to have to do a video on how I start fire with natural material. Ferro rod. So because the leaves are wet, I know that this wood is wet too. So I want to make sure to dry out as much of it as I can on this initial burn so that some of it can catch. Now you can see I built kind of a log cabin type fire. The reason I did that is so that air can get in. So even though I'm stacking it, I'm not smothering it. Okay? That's very important because you want to make sure that there's enough oxygen in here to keep that fire going while still being able to put the wood on top where it's the hottest and the flame's the largest. You want to be able to cover that flame but still have oxygen. That's why I chose this method, because I don't know what the weather conditions have been here, and we can tell now that they've been wet. Alright, so I got my earth sack. It's dinner time. Getting hungry. I brought some Mountain House. I think I'm going to save those for tomorrow. And today, I'm just going to have a bar. Where's my crackers? Just gonna have a bar and some ramen. I brought a Pop-Tart. I brought 3 Pop-Tarts. I'm gonna be here all day tomorrow, and then I'm leaving the next day, so I have enough Pop-Tarts for breakfast every meal. But I'm just gonna make up some of this. I'm gonna use my alcohol stove. You guys have seen me use this thing 100 times, so I'm not going to bore you with it, but I just thought I'd get on here and show you what's for dinner. So I'm still waiting for my water to boil. I got about 15 minutes of sun left. If you're ever out and you want to know how much time you have until the sun goes down, you simply just hold your hand up to the horizon, and however many fingers you can fit between the sun and the horizon, each finger is 15 minutes. So 4 fingers is an hour. So right now I can fit about 1 finger between the sun and the horizon. So that's only 15 minutes. And so it's not 100% accurate, like it's not exactly 15 minutes, but it gives you a rough estimate of how long you have until the sun goes down and everything goes black. And so I try to eat dinner 30 minutes to 15 minutes before the sun goes down. That way I have light so I can eat in the light. I like to make camp. I like to have at least an hour of light. And so if I only have 4 fingers, I start setting up camp immediately. Right? If I'm going to have a fire that night, I make sure to have about 45 minutes to an hour to prep everything and get everything situated for that fire. And so it's a really good way of just judging time, right? Because when all is said and done, it sucks working in the night. And so knowing how much sun you have left, it really makes a huge difference on how urgent things are and how you're going to prioritize things. And so it's a cool little trick. Just remember, each finger is 15 minutes, 4 fingers is an hour. So if you can put 2 hands on top of each other, that's 2 hours. Alright, so I just thought I'd share that quick tip. Waiting for my water to boil. It's really close, so I'll get back to you probably tomorrow. I'm probably going to eat this and then go to bed. As soon as the sun goes down, I plan on sleeping, and I plan on sleeping very well for a very long time. So I probably will catch you out tomorrow. So here we go. So I was eating here, and a guy comes up, and he's seen a lot of dog prints in the area, and he said they're too big to be coyotes. He thinks they're wolf, but they're not large wolves. He doesn't think that they're large timber wolves. He thinks that maybe they're just adolescent wolves. And so something he didn't find them here, but around here. And then there's these swans that keep flying around, and I got it on video. But as you can see, the sun's going down, it's getting dark, so you're not going to be able to see them very well. But I did catch them on camera. You can probably hear them. They're going nuts. But again, if there's wolves in the area, they could be hunting and stalking, and also the bear are trying to get their fill before hibernation. So there's a lot to consider. The deer are in rut. The bear are stocking up for hibernation. Seems like the wolves are checking out the perimeter, kind of venturing out to find food, I'm guessing. So hopefully they don't like noodles. But anyway, I'm gonna finish eating. I'm gonna go to bed. Sun's almost down. I just thought I'd give you a quick little update on what's going on. So I'm gonna eat this. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm exhausted, to be honest with you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, good morning, guys. I made it through the night. So there's some good news and some bad news. Good news is I made it through the night. My wool blanket kept me warm enough. There were a couple times where I had to get up and run to kind of get my blood moving and heat up a little bit, but I made it. And the bad news is tonight is supposed to be even colder than last night, and so I'm not going to be able to spend another night here. I'm just not ready for it. Last night I slept in my wool sweater, got my wool hat on, and the blanket just can't go down to those below freezing temperatures. I thought it was going to be around, they said that the low was 39 degrees,
And so I gave it 39 to like 32 degrees, you know. And I thought that I could handle it, but it obviously got down a lot farther than 32 degrees. But that's Minnesota. You can never trust the weatherman. The weatherman, they guess to the best of their abilities, and Minnesota just laughs at them and says, "Watch this." It's they're almost never right. It's either like way warmer or way colder than whatever the weatherman says. But so I planned for 32 degrees being the ultimate low, but it obviously got colder than that. I could see my breath. I was shivering. But that brings up a really good point. Just because you plan to be out for a whole weekend doesn't mean that you need to stay out that whole weekend, right? There's no bad reason for tapping out, right? But on the other hand, there's no good reason to get back out here, right? You have to come back out. You have to try again, right? Next time I come out here, I'm gonna have my sleeping bag, not just my wool blanket. I might bring my sleeping bag and my wool blanket, but I'm gonna bring my negative 10 degree bag just to make sure that I'm warm. And yeah, when I was first getting started, there were days where I tapped out just because I was bored. You know, I'd just be sitting there staring at trees, wondering what I was gonna do all day, and I would just go home. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now that I've been doing it, I kept coming back out, and now that I've been doing it for a while, now sitting and staring at the trees is one of my favorite parts. Just the peace and the quiet and the not having to worry about nothing or having nothing on the agenda. You're just free to do nothing but stare at trees. Like it's pretty cool sometimes. But yeah. So just because I'm not staying tonight doesn't mean we can't enjoy the day. But I think I'm gonna try to get a couple more Z's before I completely get up. I didn't sleep very well last night at all. But now the sun's coming up, so it should get a little bit warmer. So hopefully I can get a little bit more sleep, because as you guys can tell, I'm tired. Alright, so I'll catch you in a little bit. So I got my earth sack, hung it in the tree. Breakfast of Champions. Good old Pop-Tart. I don't even know what flavor they are, to be honest with you. I just grabbed them and put them in the bag. It's cold this morning. It's really cloudy, so the sun's not shining like it should be. So it is cold. It's cold. But I'm gonna eat Pop-Tart, try to get a fire started, warm up a little bit, and then I'm gonna take you guys on the trail. Alright, so one of the things I want to show you guys is the trail. So
Alright, so as you can see, we are at the trail. I'm going to take you guys down here. I'm going to show you some cool things. It's not a real long trail. It actually just goes and it follows the river for a little bit, and then it goes back to the main road that gets you to this campsite. So I just want to show you some cool things on the trail. Alright, one of the things that I want to talk about is over harvesting. Now you can see this is a spruce. People confuse this with a white birch. So they were taking the bark off of it, thinking that it was a natural resource and that it was gonna start their fire very easy. But this is not a birch, this is a spruce. And so it probably didn't work very well. And two, they over harvested. Even if this was a white birch, you should never use tools or anything to take that bark off. You're supposed to practice leave no trace. This does not follow leave no trace. Whatever is flaking off is free for the taking, but whatever is fixed to the tree is for the tree. So never take more than what you need, and never use tools to over harvest barks, leaves, plants, whatever. It's better to just leave it so that it can grow and produce more in the future than it is to over harvest and damage the tree and prevent it from creating more trees. So that's something that I wanted to bring up. Let's move forward. Alright, so you can see above me there's all this bark just flaking off. Essentially what it is it's just dead skin. So it's going to shed that off, and then the new layer of bark is underneath it. All of that is free for the taking. So when you're practicing leave no trace and you're getting natural materials, all this loose bark here, that's all, it's going to fall off anyway, so you can just collect that right away, or it'll fall off and it'll land on the ground and you can collect it then too. It's part of leaving no trace. You know, you don't want people to know that you were here taking bark, taking materials. You know, you want to leave no trace. You want to make it just the same as it was when you got here. So I just wanted to show you what was appropriate to take.
There's an old saying that goes, rednecks have big fire, stand far away, where a wise man has a small fire and sits close. And it's true, because having a smaller fire and sitting closer, you're staying just as warm. The fire is still hot, but there's a lot less waste. You know, I'm not burning as many logs, and I'm not burning as much wood, and I'm not wasting a lot of my resources, and yet I still get that warmth and that heat from the fire. And so you don't always need to have a big raging fire. It's this little fire that I just can throw one stick on here and there. It's just enough to keep me warm. Maybe roast some marshmallows if you have some, and it's a nice comfortable fire. Just to show you guys, I practice what I preach. In this cargo pocket right here, I keep my easy towels and my hand sanitizer. So it's always ready to go right there in this pocket. So no matter what happens, I'm ready. I don't have to go into my tent. I don't have to go into my kits to try to find it. It's always right there in my pocket, and if I need it, I go. Another thing I want to show you guys is, I always tell you guys I have zero service out here. I have no service whatsoever when I'm in these parts of the woods. And usually when I'm out camping in random places where there's no service, I'll be walking around or something, and then all of a sudden my phone will just start vibrating, because it'll be catching up. You know, it'll get a signal for a little bit, and it'll catch up on all the emails and notifications and everything. Out here, I don't deal with that. Out here, all I get, let's see if I can get you guys to see, I get a little, I don't know if I can get you guys to see it. I get a little circle. I get a little circle with a line through it. No service whatsoever. So yeah, I get no service whatsoever. I get a little circle with a line through it. I don't even get a bar. I don't even get the bar symbol showing that there could be a signal. Nope. Circle, line through it, all hope lost. So I have no service out here. Another update, it's around 10:30. I already took you guys down the trail. I did a lot of stuff this morning. I had my fire, I ate my breakfast. There's a lot of things that I can't accomplish this morning. I'm not spending the night again tonight, because it's supposed to get so much colder than last night. And last night I just didn't enjoy myself. You know, I made it and it was fine, but I just wasn't comfortable. And so it's important that you guys realize that if you guys come and you're not prepared to tap out, there's nothing wrong with going home early. I gotta go and I gotta get a signal so I can call Caroline, but the most important thing is that you're having fun, right? And you're not suffering. If you're suffering and you're not having fun, there's no point in staying. Just make sure that you learn what it is that you need for next time, and you make sure to have that, so that the next time you are comfortable and you are having fun. Another thing I forgot is I forgot my book. And the problem is, the reason I forgot all this stuff is because I'm using my Rush 72. I'm testing it, and so I thought I'd bring it out. Well, I decided that very last minute. Like I was planning on leaving, and I was like, you know what, maybe I should transfer everything over to the Rush 72, you know. And I started transferring, and I was in a rush because I wanted to get going, and I didn't transfer a lot of the stuff over because the Rush 72 isn't as big as my Kelty Coyote, and so my Coyote 80. And so there's a lot of things that I had to leave behind, and there's a lot of pockets that I didn't even open. I just grabbed my
food, water, and shelter basically, and I hurried out here. And so I forgot a lot of things, so I'm standing around. I don't have my book to read. I know tonight is going to be brutal, and so I'm just going to go home. And there's nothing wrong with that. I hope you guys truly, honestly understand that sometimes it's just not in the cards to spend a whole weekend here. I would have had to leave super early tomorrow morning anyway. Caroline has to work tomorrow, and so she would have had to come pick me up super early, get back home, get ready, go to work, and it would have been a pain for her. But I'll just go home today, and no harm, no foul, right? Alright, I want to give you guys a quick update on the Dominion 2-person tent. I still love this tent. This little kickstand thing here with the Velcro, it's still kind of chintzy, but it does work. And the other thing I like is there's mesh behind there, and so it's not letting bugs in. So I can keep this closed and put this open, and it's still keeping the bugs at bay. They still get through from the bottom. But this is a feature that I didn't know I would like. It felt kind of chintzy, but I use it a lot, especially on both sides. It doesn't really give you much of an airflow, but it does help with condensation, and it has that mesh so you don't have to deal with the bugs, and I like that feature. I hope that Velcro can hold together for a really long time, because it's really nice having that. Other than that, everything's pretty much the same. I did switch out the tent pegs. I have the shepherd hooks now instead of those aluminum stakes. I don't use the guy outs. I've never had a need to yet. Yeah, it's a great tent. I really enjoy it. It's waterproof. The structure holds up really well. That one pole system, it's kind of wonky folding it up and unfolding it, but it's very durable. So you take the good with the bad, and this thing's holding up very well. I'm going to see if I can fit the rain fly and the tent in a 10-liter dry bag, and then keep the footprint, the stakes, or not the stakes, but the tent pole and this separate to try to take up less space, because when I put it all in that 20-liter bag, it takes up so much room in my pack. It'd be nice if I could split it up a little bit. So we're gonna see if this works. So that actually worked out pretty well. Now my tent and my rain fly are in here. My tent poles are in here. My footprint is in here. And my stakes, I keep my stakes separate anyway, because these are the same stakes that I use for my hammock setup to stake out my tarps. And so when I had it in that 20-liter dry bag, it took up almost my whole entire bucket of that Rush 72. But now that I can split it up into 3 different sections, it should take up a lot less room. So I'm pretty excited about that. And it was really easy to pack. So this is going to be my setup for this tent from now on, I think. So as you can see, my clothes were in that 10-liter dry bag, and now they're in the 20-liter dry bag. And again, it's taking up almost my whole entire bucket. So it's taking up almost the whole pack. And so I'm hoping that by separating my tent, I don't need to use this big bag anymore. So we'll see how that works. Look at how much nicer that looks. It's all organized and neat, and I don't have a big bag taking up over half of my bucket. Very cool. So here, the Rush 72, all loaded out except for my camera stuff. This is a very comfortable backpack. I really enjoy how it distributes the weight on my shoulders. This hip belt rides kind of high. It rides like the bottom of this clip is like at the bottom of my belly button, so it doesn't really ride on my hips. But I like the molly on the pouch. I have a rolly pouch here, and so this is a molly webbing pouch. So if I'm walking, I can collect stuff and put it in here. It also holds my 32-ounce water bottle, and so I like that I can put that on this hip belt. So if I'm walking over distance, I can have my water bottle here without having to drop my backpack off, get a drink, put it back. You know, I can just grab it and go from here. So I really like that feature. And yeah, it holds a lot more than that Rush 7 or the Rush 24 does. And so yeah, it got me out here. It made me, if I would have packed a little better, if I would have had my sleeping bag and my wool blanket instead of just my wool blanket, I think I could stay the other night. But it's just, last night was so cold, and I had to come out here and I had to run laps to warm up, and it's not enjoyable. And for me, if it's not enjoyable, it's not worth staying the extra day. So I'm all packed up. It's time to pack you guys up. But before I do, make sure to leave any knowledge or questions in that comment section. I learned so much from you guys. I want to know, what kind of wool blankets or sleeping bags do you guys use, and what's the temperature rating you take them down to? Like, I know there's a lot of sleeping bags that say they're like a 0-degree sleeping bag, but 0 degrees is like you won't die at 0 degrees. That's not the comfort rating, that's the survival rating, we'll call it. And I want to know, what wool blankets do you use, and what temperatures do you bring them down to? Also, make sure to like and share this video to help spread that knowledge and those ideas to the people we care about most. And as always, don't forget to subscribe and come join the pack. I have a new video every Sunday and Thursday, and I can't wait to see you on the next one. Thanks, guys. What a nice pack, huh?